The only reason people are buying gold is because they don't know about Bitcoin. Gold's screaming to you that people lost faith in currencies. Gold is going parabolic at $22 trillion market cap. The amount of flows you need to push gold to the levels it's gone are very, very sizable. There's no single biggest opportunity in finance today than to finance people not selling their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think once people understand how far superior Bitcoin is as an asset to gold, it can do everything gold can plus, right? And so much of investing is just waiting for information to permeate through the markets.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We're here in the beautiful Lugano. Literally, we're doing this during a sunset. You couldn't have asked for this better. And of course, I'm joined with the one, the only Mauricio, the co-founder of Ledn. Dude, thank you so much for making this, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, big guy in the sky, for this beautiful sunset background.
We totally timed this, right?
No. Hey, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be, man.
Yeah, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So how are you, man? How's life?
I'm great, man. We just wrapped up another record quarter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Life is excellent. We're driving, and we have a lot of great stuff down the pipe, so I could not be more excited.
So Mauricio, let's talk about Ledn, right? Which is a fantastic product. Obviously, you guys know we're partnered with Ledn, but I use it personally and it's addicting and it's fantastic. It's great, but it's Bitcoin-backed loans, right? Yes. And I think it's a great way for people to, tap into their Bitcoin without having to sell it. And perhaps a lot of people are just not aware of that, They're sitting on spot Bitcoin. They don't know that they can do more with it. And that's what you guys do. And you guys do it extremely well and responsibly, I might add.
Thank you. Yeah, we offer dollar loans backed by Bitcoin. The loans can be dispersed in pretty much any local currency, stable coins as well. And the main benefits of it is that when you take a Bitcoin backed loan, most often it's not a taxable event, so you get to keep you get your cash without having to go through the taxable event of selling it. And then you get to keep the upside. And we've been doing this for longer than pretty much anyone else, since 2018. We were the first ever to do proof of reserves. And we always stuck to a very conservative approach, which in the high-flying days, it was perceived by some as potentially boring. But as Ledn has weathered the storm, and pretty much most of the people that were competing with us did not weather the storm, the market is now rewarding us as the kind of Bitcoin has resurged. And people just don't want to sell the Bitcoin. And I don't blame them. We built the product because we didn't want to sell our Bitcoin. And it's great to see that you build something that you wanted and you put it out in the world, and then other people want it. And it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, and let's talk about that, because it's really interesting, your entrepreneurial journey, Mauricio, because you built something that you guys felt you needed yourselves.
That's right. And I started out mining Bitcoin. And when you start mining Bitcoin or you run any other Bitcoin business, you get Bitcoin income, Bitcoin revenues, but you have fiat expenses. And every time you had to go pay for, electricity bill or equipment upgrades, it was so painful to sell the Bitcoin because that was the only source of revenue you had. And, at the beginning it was very frustrating because we were mining and there was no financing options. And so we ended up having to sell the Bitcoin. And it was through that process when we were building the mine in Canada that we ran into the same issue in Canada. I had been running into the issue in Venezuela, but back there, you don't expect a solution, right? Venezuela is Venezuela, and rarely people build for that type of market. But then when we came to Canada, we had the same issue, and we said, okay, well, let's put our heads together. Let's do Canada's first Bitcoin-backed loan. And that was in 2017. The first loan actually went out in 2018. And the beautiful thing about Bitcoin-backed loans is that for the first time, I believe ever, lenders can have uniform collateral that is the same from a Venezuelan or from a Colombian or from a Canadian or from an American. And that means I can underwrite them on the same terms, which I thought was fascinating. So we worked very, very hard to bring our product or structure our product in a way that would be appealing to people in places like Venezuela. So this is why our minimum loan size is $500. That's not a mistake. That's by design.
Yeah.
And why don't we require monthly interest payments? Again, that's not a mistake. That's by design. Because if you're somebody down there taking $1,000 or $2,000 to buy a computer, and I'm asking you to wire me $10 a month for interest, I'm basically pinning you up a hill that makes the product not as exciting. And so we did that, and to your point, we did it to solve our own problem in the way we would have wanted to be solved. Because back in the day, there were a few companies saying they would do loans and they were doing ICO raises and supporting all sorts of tokens. We didn't really want that. We wanted something that was clean, simple, transparent, safe, and we didn't see it in the market. So we went on and we built it. And I want to give a shout out to Francis Puleo, who actually was the first OG Bitcoin treasury company that took out a Ledn loan. And most people don't know this, but most of the Bitcoin treasury companies out there aren't public. They are small private companies run by people. They are landscapers. They are, mechanics. They are developers or builders. And they need financing too. They just can't access the public markets in the way Michael can. So it was him who took out the first loan back in November. And then from there, we started servicing miners. We started servicing people that were working for Bitcoin companies, getting paid in Bitcoin. And so people were coming to us for like 5-10 grand a month to pay rent, to pay their lease. And that snowballed into what it's become today. Q3 just wrapped up. We issued $392 million in loans in 3 months. That's nearly all of our origination volume for 2024.
Wow.
And so it's just incredible to see how people are now understanding the product. And they're also learning how to use the product a lot better. We had this, crash in the crypto space, not in the Bitcoin space, but 2 Fridays ago, there was this big crash, bunch of liquidations, bigger liquidations than FTX. That was a crypto event. That was not a Bitcoin event. Nobody at Ledn got liquidated at all. And so I think every time you have these events, people realize, maybe I shouldn't have been using smoking chicken fish for a 50x levered long, right? And then slowly they're paved their way back to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so it's been, again, when you put good things out in the world and you work hard, it can be rewarded. The market can reward you. And I think that's what we're seeing today. So yes.
Yeah, man. And no, definitely, dude. And again, like one of the things that fascinated me, Mauricio, I remember I switched from one provider to another provider. You were walking me through this whole process. And I remember like one of the things I messaged you or something. I was like, there's like no monthly payments. And then you're like, yeah, there's no monthly payments. And then I had no idea like that was even a thing, but that was one of the things that stuck out to me the most, that I appreciated the most as a business owner, because again, you take out a loan and then you have to pay these monthly payments. It kind of defeats the purpose of taking out the loan in the first place. And then you guys are protected on your end because you guys have the most pristine collateral the world has ever seen. So it's like, there's not really like, it's obviously a win-win situation for, and there's different reasons as to why people take out loans, right? There's the degen reason, but I think most people are doing it for, perhaps upgrading their lifestyle or investing into their business. Like that's what I did. And yeah, man, it's a service that is needed. Now, for the people that for some reason haven't been watching Simply Bitcoin enough, or haven't been on Bitcoin X enough, or don't know who you are, if we got into an elevator and you had 2 to 3 minutes to explain to me what is a Bitcoin-backed loan, how would you do it?
A Bitcoin-backed loan is a dollar loan backed by Bitcoin. And it is issued based on the value of the Bitcoin and the value of the Bitcoin alone. Your credit score does not come, we don't look at your credit score, we don't look at your income, we look at your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is your credit quality. So you can pledge $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, borrow $500, and effectively keep the upside on that Bitcoin and prevent the taxable event from having sold that Bitcoin. So you can spend fiat, keep the upside on the Bitcoin. And then when you get paid again, or when you recover, or when you make back the $500, you can pay back the loan and you can get back your Bitcoin.
That makes perfect sense. And you did it in less than 2 minutes. So we're going to stand awkwardly here in an elevator.
Well, actually, one thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned this idea of, how Ledn is different, right? And when we came out with no monthly interest payments, we were the lone people that didn't do that, right? And we also built things like auto top up, right? Like even going back as far as 2018, we came out with the 50% loan to value model. We came out with the 70% margin call or 80% liquidation thresholds. And we were modeling that because there was no precedent. And to see now so much of the industry converging on what we do, it's a huge compliment. I take it as a huge compliment because you're seeing other people try to offer Bitcoin-backed loans, and they're basically starting out not offering the same terms we offer, and then slowly they have to curve back and say, actually, no monthly interest payments. Actually, we'll build out a top up, and so it's really, I think it's great for the industry, right? And
well, it's imitation is the best form of flattery.
Exactly. Right. So for us, it's, again, we take immense pride in what we build. And I think the whole goal of this thing is to bring dollar liquidity to the Bitcoin space, right? And I think by having the ecosystem grow and in many ways following our lead, that is going to create more capital coming into the space. It's going to bid down the cost of capital. And I think it's going to benefit everyone and make these products even more appealing.
I want to tell you about the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack, bitcoinwell.com. What makes Bitcoin Well different? What makes it unique? It's an automatic self-custody Bitcoin on-ramp. What does that mean? That means that when you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos, because after all, self-custody is the revolution. By the way, if you go to bitcoinwell.com/simply, as soon as you make your first purchase, you get 3 opportunities to win up to 1 million Satoshis just for signing up and buying a little bit of Bitcoin. Seems like a win-win. What are you waiting for? Go to bitcoinwell.com/simply today. So without getting into the specific identities of people, what are some of the craziest stories that you've heard of individuals, like, you know, in a spot, for example, like, oh, they wanted to upgrade their, I'm sure you've had much better stories, but I want to upgrade my garage, or I want to do this. Like, what are some of the craziest stories, or perhaps some of the most inspirational stories that you've heard?
Well, there's such a broad spectrum of things people use our loans for. So one time I was chatting with Isa from Big and Base team, and she was telling me how she wants to build a circular economy in Mayaquita, and she wants to build this hotel, and she wants to build this gym and all this stuff. And I remember talking to her, I said, if you're gonna finance that, we would love to be your financing partner, and we would we want to be part of the gym. Like we want to help you build that gym. And so she's like, let's do it. So we went out and did it, and she built the entire gym without selling a sat. And now it's thriving, and she posts videos, and there's like a Ledn logo on the gym, and people snap it and send it to me, and it's incredible. Another really random one, but this one actually highlights the speed in which Ledn operates. We had a client come in because her cat needed emergency surgery, okay? And she didn't want to sell her Bitcoin, but she needed to get the funds that day. So she took her loan. She got the funds that day, took her cat to surgery, the cat survives, and she kept the Bitcoin. Both the cat and the Bitcoin survive. That's another small one. We have a lot of people that take Bitcoin-backed loans to buy their dream property. So I've spoken to so many husband and wife pairs that come on a call with me. Wife's due for her second baby. Husband doesn't want to sell the Bitcoin, but wife wants bigger room. Yeah. And so I'm, sell us on why we should not sell our Bitcoin. And so I walk them through how the product works and the benefits. And then, lo and behold, they take out the loan, they buy the house, then the husband happy because he didn't sell the Bitcoin, the wife's happy because they got the bigger space. That was happening more and more. A lot of entrepreneurs. I had a guy a while back take out a loan to start a music festival. And
really?
Yeah, like the first concert of a music festival series. And then we have another guy out of Colombia who took out a loan to buy a rental boat. So the boat is like all decked out in Bitcoin. And it's basically a rental boat for people that want to go spend time on the beach. And he financed the purchase with Ledn. And so there's so many things. In Venezuela, for example, we have clients sometimes that take out our loans to pay for school, take out our loans to buy a computer. So that happens too. But again, it's such a broad spectrum, and I'm sure I'm missing a few of these other exciting things that are just not coming to mind like the top of my head, but those ones are, especially the real estate one, is I find it to be a recurring theme. Yeah. And private Bitcoin businesses that don't want to sell Bitcoin but want to expand.
Literally, that was our situation. Yeah.
And so that happens more and more and more. Because more and more people are realizing you should hold some Bitcoin on your balance sheet. Yeah. Right? And again, if you look at even the cost of capital, right, for these loans, Michael Saylor is borrowing dollars from the market with STRC at 10.25. That's Michael Saylor public markets. Yeah. Almost anyone can come to Ledn today and borrow. The rate's posted right now is 12.4, which is not that far off if you're considering he's billions of dollars in the public markets and you're a $500 person out of Colombia. So I think it's super inclusive in that sense.
Absolutely.
And people feel empowered, right? Like you as an individual can use a tool that is in many ways very similar to what the most sophisticated treasury company on Wall Street is doing. And that's empowering, man. Yeah. Especially when you see, the best thing about this product is that it works. Yeah. If you just just look at the chart and look at the math and look at the aggregate growth rate of Bitcoin over the last 7 years and look at the average cost of that loan. Yeah. Every person that has used our products responsibly has benefited. Yeah. And that's why we're growing.
Yeah.
Ledn wouldn't be growing if our clients weren't doing well or benefiting from using the product. The other product that we're seeing a massive uptake now since we did the changes on the, we just reduced the spreads at Ledn. So now buying and selling Bitcoin at Ledn is 50 basis points, which is better than most other platforms out there. And you can use our loans to buy more Bitcoin, which is B2X. Now this product is available, availability varies by jurisdiction, but in the countries where it is available, we're seeing massive increase in the usage because the spreads now make that product a lot more interesting. And so again, these are, what we see clients do things and we build for what they're doing. B2X is a great example. When we first launched Ledn, we saw there were people coming to Ledn, taking out a Bitcoin back loan for say, $5,000, and they would come back with $500 of new Bitcoin, take out a $2,500 loan, and then they would come back with $2,500 of new Bitcoin, and so on and so forth, till they reached the min. And we sat down, I spoke to a bunch of these guys, and they're saying, I'm just using your loans to buy more and more Bitcoin. And so we got together and said, okay, what if we make that process just a lot simpler for somebody? What if you bring one Bitcoin, we'll give you the dollars to buy the second one, and we're locked the two up in custody. It's still 50% loan to value. It's the same underwriting as everything else we're doing, and we saved the client a lot of time and money. And so we built it, and then people came and used it. And so it's this, really, you just have to listen. And if you're willing to listen and deliver on that, then the market will reward you.
Absolutely. And Mauricio, walk me through the opening of the account, how fast you get money into your account. Because I remember when I did the switch, again, bro, no, of course I knew you. I don't think I would have done it if I didn't know you. But you go through the process, right? And that's another thing also that I love how you handle things, Mauricio, is that you deal with the customer yourself, right? Like hands-on. I think that builds a tremendous amount of trust because they know that they can shoot you a message or shoot whatever, and you get in there, you're like, all right, I'm gonna take care of this, which I think is very important. But walk someone through that perhaps is not familiar with Ledn, what the process is like. You're like, they're hearing this and they're like, oh my God, I can buy my cat a house, or like a little cat house or a little dog house. What is the process of opening an account? You send the Bitcoin, how long till they get their cash? What's the process and how long does it take?
Yeah, I'm happy to walk you through it. So to open an account, you just have to head over to the website, register your email, add passwords, same stuff as always. We are a regulated business, so you do need to do KYC. That process takes 5 minutes. If everything matches, we might have to go through a secondary review, which might make that the KYC takes a day per se, if we need to get any additional information. But once your account is open, applying for a loan takes 2 minutes. And all you do is you put in the amount you want to borrow. The platform says this is how much Bitcoin you need to send. It assigns an address for that loan, and then you can send that Bitcoin collateral at any time. So say you apply for a loan, the application takes 2 minutes, you're approved within an hour, most often, if not automatically. And once the address is assigned, you send your Bitcoin, call it another 10 minutes for a confirmation. You gotta wait 6 confirmations when you send the Bitcoin to Ledn. And then once we receive the collateral, we disperse, typically, if it's in stable coins, it's instant. If it's in fiat, we disperse, the average time, if you're applying during a weekday, is 6 hours for you to get the funds. So I'll give you an example. I use my own product because I always like to keep tabs on my own product. And so I used the product not too long ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago. I submitted the loan application on Thursday afternoon after banking cutoff hours. And by Friday at 10 a.m., I had the money in my account. And so it's a very, very fast process, and it's so day and night compared to a bank, right? When you go to a bank, they ask you for your credit score, for your income. They want to review, they want to appraise the property, or they want to get the business plan for whatever it is you're wanting the loan for. And this thing can take weeks, right? And then eventually, weeks later, pay Nico, here's your loan. But then it goes in your credit history, and they have your personal credit and the asset. At Ledn, we don't look at your personal credit history. We don't look at your income. We have the best collateral in the world. So it makes everything so much faster. And I mean, the weeks processing times that we just discussed, that's in the US. That is like best case scenario. Most people south of Texas don't even get access to the bank. The bank just says, no, this is not available to you. Or they'll take them through a runaround, a wild goose chase, and then they'll say no. And that's not, for us, it's like, do you pass KYC? Do you have Bitcoin? Where do you want the money? That's as simple as that.
And walk me through also, Mauricio, the fact that, I think you mentioned this, right? The only requirements are KYC and the Bitcoin as collateral. You don't care if that person's from Venezuela, You don't care if that person's from any other jurisdiction. Where else are you available in Africa?
We're available in parts of Africa. Yes, the service is available in parts of Africa.
Why did you decide to focus on the smaller people? Because that's usually what you see with Bitcoin companies, right? Is that, they realize like, hey, I can get 10 big clients and.
Because that's who needs the product.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Is it your background?
Well, that's where I'm from, right? Like I work with people, like I'll give you an example. The people that did the electrical upgrades in the mines in Venezuela, these were contractors. These guys, got paid a couple $1,000s a month, right? But they also have Bitcoin, and they also want the opportunity to finance growing their contracting business. And so if I make the minimum requirement as this very large amount, I'm just gonna be adding a drop of water into this lake, right? Because people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars probably already have other financing options, or it's not their only lifeline, right? And for me, it's a matter of principle, right? Like you want to be able to take Bitcoin where Bitcoin is needed the most, right? And that was what was exciting to me, right? Like as exciting as, building a product has been exciting, but having someone from Venezuela reach out to me and say, man, I'm so proud of what you've built. I use it. It's helped me. It's helped my family. I've had people that basically started businesses or actually saved enough Bitcoin so they could leave Venezuela, and they've left. We hire people in Venezuela at Ledn.
Yeah.
We've hired Venezuelans. And some of our employees have been able to use that opportunity to lift their families out of a bad situation in Venezuela and take them to the free world.
Yeah.
And I think to me, I don't sell that, right? Like that's not a product that I can go tell the world about. But I think all these things add up, right? Like you're planting seeds, so doing every little thing you're doing is planting a seed. And people see through when something is well-intentioned or when something is you're just saying it for the sake of saying it. And we walk the talk, we say we want this thing to reach the emerging markets. We're probably one of the few companies at all serving Venezuela.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very close one for me personally, but look at the country, man.
Yeah.
Like we need it.
They need it the most.
They need it.
Of course.
And listen, being regulated also has its challenges in terms of inclusion, because I can't service a market like Cuba, for example. And it pains me when I have people from Cuba reaching out to me.
Of course.
Saying, Mao, can I use your service? I say, I'm a regulated business.
Yeah.
I can't do sanctioned countries.
Yeah.
And I hope that gets better and better over time, and people are able to use, more and more people are able to use our products. But if there's a crack of light for me to get through that window, we're gonna get through that window. We're gonna get you the service we believe. I mean, don't use it if you don't need it. But when you need it, we want to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, again, bro, it's extremely, for me, my personal experience was, it was like I had a too good to be true moment. And then like I had the bias because you're Venezuelan and I'm Venezuelan. So I'm like, yeah, I like Mauricio, he's cool. And then, but it was just like, I went through like phases of disbelief because I was using, not to name any names, but I was using another provider, and it just wasn't as good as what you guys offer.
Do you need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted source for Bitcoin-backed lending, with transparency, security, and trust at their core. Backed by $9 billion of Bitcoin loans funded and over 1,000 5-star reviews. I absolutely love these guys because of their flexibility. You can pay back your loan whenever you want. And there are no monthly payments, so you pay at the end of the term. You get lightning fast access to capital. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you get the cash into your account within 18 hours. Unlock the liquidity of your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Check out Ledn today.
Mauricio, why don't you talk, because I'm sure someone might be thinking this, why don't you talk about who you guys use to custody the Bitcoin? Because you take that very seriously, and you guys have proof of reserves.
Yes, so by the time this airs, you'll see our Q3 proof of reserves is going to be out, and we're lifting the bar for transparency even more. we are not only showing you that all the Bitcoin that we have as collateral is properly accounted for and verified by an accountant, a third-party independent accountant, but we're also going to show you the full size of Ledn's book and the collateralization ratio of Ledn's book. And I'll say it now, it's $836 million at the end of Q3. And we want to be increasingly more and more transparent about how we operate and how we keep Bitcoin safe. So our main custodian today is BitGo, and that's where we have two main avenues of funding our loans. We fund it directly from our own deposits or balance sheet, in which case the collateral sits in BitGo cold storage at all times. And we work with partners, banks and other corporates to draw basically liquidity from when we have more loan demand than dollars available. So whenever we work with these partners, they are incredibly, we have a very stringent vetting process for even considering a partner. And as part of that structure, we basically retain title of the Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin is held in trust for Ledn. So it doesn't form part of any of the lending counterparts' balance sheets. This is important because in the event of a bankruptcy, our Bitcoin is our Bitcoin. If we repay the loan, we get it back. It's carved out from their assets. And the other very important thing we do is we demand that the Bitcoin sits in a dedicated address, segregated address that we can check and verify at all times. And this is what we feed our accountant to come and do the proof of reserves reports every single time. And the Bitcoin always sits in that address. It does not move. Contractually, it cannot move. And that's basically how we keep Bitcoin safe. And I think there's other flavors in the market, especially now. There's like pre-hypothecation practices or people doing funny stuff with the Bitcoin on the back end so they can give you a lower interest rate. And I think this is why it's very, very important that you read the legal agreements. B, you look at the trajectory or the track record this company has. And 3, demand proof of reserves.
Yeah.
Don't think it's cool to have it and it's fine if they don't. Demand proof of reserves. If you haven't learned your lesson by now, with all the stuff that happened in 2022, here's an interesting fact. To my knowledge, not a single company that had proof of reserves has gone bankrupt. And that to me says everything you need to hear.
Well, it's
right?
accountability, right?
Well, it's because you have to run a very tight ship to run proof of reserves. I know it just rolls off people's tongues, but the reason most companies or the majority of companies aren't doing this today is not because they don't want to or their clients don't ask for it. It's because they can't. It's incredibly operationally complex.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is these companies are tacking on products left, right, and center. And when you're running proof of reserves, you need to give it's got to be holistic. It's got to include every product on your suite, right? And sometimes, if you go out and you show a proof of reserves report that just has the assets, like the Bitcoin collateral, but doesn't have how many loans outstanding you have on that, that's incomplete. If you have a proof of reserves report that looks at even assets and liabilities of your lending business only, and doesn't look at everything else, but there might be pockets of risk around the business, that's incomplete. And the reason we are so passionate and loud about this is because we poured proof of reserves at the foundation level of Ledn. We were the first ones to ever do it with the longest running proof of reserves track record in the industry. And everything we've built since then has to fit because it has to be complete.
Yeah.
And when you try to do this retroactively, it's like trying to make a concrete building have glass doors, right?
Yeah.
You have to start busting through. You might forget something. It might hurt the structure. It might hurt this other product. And so that's why I think so many companies are still lacking proof of reserves, which to me is shocking. But I think it speaks to how hard this is and how much commitment you have to have from the entire organization.
Of course.
This is operations, treasury, accounting, finance, sales. Everyone's involved. It only works if you continue doing it.
Yeah.
It's not a once and done thing.
Yeah.
And so to have that operational discipline, it's not easy to build retroactively. And I hope we see more companies come out with proof of reserves. Again, I think we should lift the bar. I'm not trying to say no one else can hit it. I'm saying let's all hit it together for the benefit of Bitcoin.
Of course.
That's really the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's the correct way of doing it, specifically now that, Bitcoin is this transparent ledger, right? What El Salvador is doing they're literally making their public treasury public, right? And then, not to name any names, but some countries are saying, trust me, bro. You don't have to do the trust me, bro anymore. That's the awesome part about Bitcoin. And that's really what fundamentally changes the world, because then it's like, it removes a very big incentive to rug pull when a lot of people are watching the cookie jar, right?
Absolutely. And I would argue that by not embracing proof of reserves, you're not taking advantage of the biggest strategic difference between lending against Bitcoin and lending against any other type of asset. If I wanted to give you a proof of reserves on my mortgage book, I'd have to send appraisers all over America to basically confirm the value of those houses and the title on those houses. That you can't do that.
Yeah.
With Bitcoin, you can have dedicated addresses, you can have, agreements with your counterparts, and you can basically point to every single loan document because it's data. I could just go boop. And if you're carrying a tight ship and you build a good process, it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need to strive for, because we need to show every other product, every other asset, or every other type of loan is inferior in transparency.
Yeah.
And I think we need to basically put that in the forefront of why we're different.
I completely agree, man. I think it's the right way to build something. It aligns the incentives between the client and the provider. And then there's accountability. And then I think that creates trust. And I think specifically in your business, like, trust is everything. And then it's like you start thinking long term, it starts compounding, right? And you guys have been around for a while, and the longer you guys are around, right, the more trust is going to be established, right? And the way that you guys are building, it seems like you guys are going to be around for a very, very, very long time. So
I want this thing to outlive me. I want this thing to outlive all of us at Ledn. I want Ledn to be something that can stand well past I'm here, well past my kids. Like, I like saying this because a lot of people think that the banks we see here today, like the JP Morgans or the Wells Fargos, their only secret sauce is that they've been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like in many cases, more than 100 years, in some cases, over 5 decades. And the reason they built the brand or reputation they have, I mean, let's skip aside the fact that they got bailed out, by the government here and there. But the reason they've been around and people trust them is because the banks have never let anyone down. They've been there for GFC, they've been there for 9/11, they've been there for all these other situations, and people still had their money. And that's why people trust those banks. And broadly speaking, why people trust the US banking system.
Yeah.
Right? My banking system, I joke, in Venezuela or LATAM, our banking systems are like the World Cup. Every 4 years, somebody blows up. Like one country blows up, Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia. And that's why people there don't like holding balances in their local banks. Mm-hmm. This is why stablecoins are eating the world.
Yep.
Because they want to hold dollars, they want to spend dollars, hold Bitcoin. They don't want to hold those dollars in those banks that have let them down. They let their parents down.
And some of them charge a fee for holding dollars. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store.
So Mauricio, last time you came on the show, not the time that I was in the suit, but the other time, you're talking about how the structure, I know you remember.
Oh yeah.
The structure, you're talking about how the structure of the market has changed. Now the institutions are here, right? And we see that. The previous bull markets have been primarily retail driven. And I remember you told me this in the beginning of the year, and me and Opti were sitting there like dopamine addicts, like, when's this parabola coming? And you called it. You said, Nico, like, this is going to be a slow climb up. Like, this is an institutional game now. Retail isn't even here. And that's exactly how it's been playing out in 2025.
And I expect to see more of the same. I expect to see, if you look at what's happening in gold right now, gold is going parabolic at $22 trillion market cap. The amount of flows you need to push gold to the levels it's gone are very, very sizable. And again, the people buying gold, you're not seeing people talking about, crazy levered longs on gold. Maybe some people are, but it's not like a culty thing right now. You're seeing some videos of people lining up to buy gold in Australia and places like that. That starts feeling a little like gold mania. But I think the reality is gold's screaming to you that people lost faith in currencies. And the only reason people are buying gold is because they don't know about Bitcoin. And I think once people understand how far superior Bitcoin is as an asset to gold, it can do everything gold can plus, right? So I think it's just a matter of time. And so much of investing is just waiting for information to permeate through the markets, right? Like the reason some people got in early in AI and made money on AI is because they were closer to it. They saw where it could go. They invested in the principle that as other people understand what this thing can do, there's only one path.
Yeah.
And that's been the case for Bitcoin always. For us, the reason we built this product is because when I found out about Bitcoin and I realized you could use it as collateral to borrow dollars from it, I thought to myself, there's no single biggest opportunity in finance today than to finance people not selling their Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then that's been playing out so far, right? I think what you're seeing in gold is going to translate to Bitcoin sooner than later. And I think the job you're doing, trying to get as many people on board so that they can stay afloat, is very important for us, because the more people we get on board, the more social capital we have to change things into the way we want them to be. Where we can lose and where I get a little, if you ask me, Matt, what keeps you up at night? Like, not a lot of things, thankfully I'm very happy, but I think a lot about this idea that if we don't get enough people on Bitcoin and this thing does what we all know it was gonna do, it's gonna be really hard for us to tell people from the top of the mountain, hey guys,
exactly.
come get freedom money, right? Without having them think, oh, you just want me to pump your bags.
Yeah.
But that's not really, it's all very, we're all doing it out of our own self-interest, and it's on your best interest to do it too.
Of course.
And so I think it's important to get as many people on board as we can. Not everybody wants to save. A lot of people just want to gamble. They want a 10x to exit their lives because they're frustrated and they feel Bitcoin won't give them that. But I would argue that they're asking for a lottery ticket. The only way out is through hard work.
Yeah.
Right? Like these things you see on the movies where somebody got hit the lottery and they changed their stars. That's not really how it happens for most people. Most people grind, make sacrifices, change their time preference, and over time they come out and they elevate themselves. So I would argue that everyone listening, don't go out seeking for 100x. Don't go out seeking for 50x, because those things are like chasing a unicorn, right? Even if you get it once, that doesn't mean at all you're going to get it again.
It's horrible if you get it once, because then you're gonna think that you could do it again, right?
But how's that worked out? How many stories are there from people that won the lottery and they're broke again?
Exactly.
And so it's because that's not how you change your stars. You change your stars by changing you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't change your stars by getting an influx of cash and you're just keeping your bad habits.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's also, Bitcoin has that 10x in it. It's just a matter of just focus on your craft, focus on your family, do the work, and it comes progressively. That's how it works.
If I told you there was an asset with almost near certainty that was going to go up 12% plus year over year, if you think that's boring, you haven't been in markets long enough.
Yeah.
And so I think I would encourage everybody to think that Bitcoin is, not rising as fast as they think, to compare it to literally any other asset. And the answer will be right there staring at you.
Absolutely. Mauricio, thank you so much for making this, bro. We literally got the sunset shot, which was fantastic. And I appreciate you, dude.
Appreciate you too, Rob.
Go to ledn.io. Oh, use the link or Alex will get mad at me.